I always knew my husband's mom was different. But that night, standing in our bedroom, I realized different was putting it mildly. My name's Emily. I'm 30. I'm married to Jason, he's 32. We live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Up until recently, I thought our life was solid. Good jobs, cozy little house in a quiet neighborhood, 2 cats, and plans to start a family in the next couple of years. But everything started to unravel after one phone call. "Hey, Em," Jason said that Saturday morning. "My mom wants to come stay with us for a week. Just to visit. Jay, she was here last month, for 3 weeks, and you told me it was going to be a couple days," he sighed, avoiding my eyes. "She says she's depressed, lonely since Dad passed. I don't know how to say no. I'm not heartless. I get it, he's an only child, and his dad died of cancer a year and a half ago. I feel for her. I really do. But his mom? She's a walking red flag. At first it was small stuff. Reorganizing the kitchen, tossing out my food because it was expired. Spoiler, it wasn't. Then she started changing clothes in the living room, like she forgot I wasn't her old college roommate. I was her daughter-in-law. But then, it got real. I got home from work early. It was pouring outside. I'd been dreaming all day about a blanket, a glass of wine, and Netflix. I walked through the door, and it was quiet. The cats were napping on the windowsill like usual. Nothing seemed off. I went upstairs, then froze in the doorway of our bedroom. Jason's mom, Linda, was sitting on our bed, wearing my robe, spraying my perfume. At first, I literally couldn't process what I was seeing. "Linda?" I felt my heart sink into my stomach. "What are you doing?" She turned, all casual, like nothing was weird. "Oh, honey, you're home already? I just wanted to smell that scent Jason likes so much. And this robe. It's so soft." My brain was scrambling to catch up. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't some weird little moment. She was seriously sitting in our bed, like she was trying on my life. "This is not okay," I said, trying to keep it together. "This is our private space." She smiled, like I'd said something silly. "Oh, sweetheart, someday when you're a mother, you'll understand. Everything my son has, it's a part of me." That was the breaking point. Up until then, I'd been patient. I figured she was grieving, that it was just a rough patch. But that sentence, "everything my son has is a part of me," it felt like a threat. Like she wasn't just visiting, she was invading. I told Jason that night. He sat there, mouth open, stunned. Then silence. "I'll talk to her," he finally said. "But maybe you're blowing it out of proportion?" I lost it. Out of proportion? She was in our bed, wearing my robe. What's next? My underwear? He gave in. "Okay, I'll talk to her, tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. That night, Linda put on a show. Like she'd heard us through the walls. Like she knew I'd had enough. "I don't want to be a burden," she sobbed, standing outside our bedroom door. "I'm just so lonely. I'm losing my son. She wants to take you away from me." It was like watching a bad reality show. Only it was my life. Jason wrapped his arms around her. "Mom, stop. We're just tired. Emily's not taking me away. She's my wife. This is her home too." It was the first time he'd ever stood up for me, but it didn't feel like a win. Because Linda, she wasn't crying anymore. She was calculating. You could see it in her eyes, cold and glassy. The next day, she disappeared. Just left the house. No word. Only a note. "Don't worry about me. I know I'm not welcome here. I'll find a hotel, or something." We called every hotel nearby. No one had seen her. After 3 hours, Jason went to the police. I was sitting on the couch, staring at my phone, when a notification popped up from the security cam. She was at our house, in the backyard. The footage. Linda, standing by the back door, holding a key. A key we never gave her. Looking straight at the camera. Smiling. I showed Jason. He turned pale. "Where'd she get a key?" I just nodded toward the hallway vase. He walked over, lifted the lid. The spare key was gone. She'd been going through our stuff. She took the key. She was watching us. We changed the locks, called a therapist, spoke to a lawyer. Jason was in shock. His mom, the woman who used to bake him muffins in college, had become someone else. We thought it was grief, but it wasn't. It was the start of a war. I told my friend Rachel about it. She's a licensed therapist. Her reaction was instant. "That's not grief, that's a pathological attachment. She sees you as competition. That's dangerous, Emily. Very." I didn't realize how right she was. Not yet. Because things were about to get so much worse. Linda came back. Not to our house, worse. She rented a home a block away. She was closer than ever. And then, something happened that changed everything. I thought the worst was over when we changed the locks. But then Linda moved into the house across the street. This wasn't just about control anymore, it was full-blown surveillance. Every morning, I could feel her watching us. She'd sit on her porch with her mug of coffee like she owned the neighborhood, and we were just some random renters temporarily invading her space. And the worst part? Jason still had doubts. She probably just wants to be close, he said one morning. She's got no one left since Dad died. She has a therapist, church friends, you name it. This isn't about being close, Jason. This is about control. He just sat there, chewing his peanut butter toast, staring out the window, where Linda, like clockwork, waved at us with a sitcom smile straight out of the 90s. I didn't wave back. Then weird things started happening. I'd come home from work, and stuff would be off. My vitamins and allergy meds would be moved to a different cabinet. My hairbrush smelled like someone else's perfume. And my underwear, sorry for the TMI, was folded and sorted by color. I've never done that. I started questioning everything. Myself. Reality. So I set a trap. I bought a tiny motion-detecting camera and hid it on a shelf in the closet. I just wanted to prove to myself I wasn't losing it. God, I wish I was. The footage showed Linda entering our house, middle of the day, with a key, the same one Jason swore she probably threw away. She walked into our bedroom, opened the closet, sniffed my clothes, grabbed my perfume, and sprayed it on herself. Then she sat on the bed, stroked the pillow, and said, softly, like a lullaby, "He was mine before you. He was mine, baby. I gave birth to him. And you? Who even are you?" I paused the video. My hands were shaking. I had never in my life felt so violated. This wasn't just crossing boundaries. This was erasing them. I showed the video to Jason. For the first time in months, he didn't defend her. He just sat down and buried his face in his hands. "I don't know what to do," he whispered. "This isn't just weird, this is sick." And maybe we could have handled it, together, if it ended there. But Linda played dirty. She always stayed one move ahead. The next day I came home to find Jason pacing, completely freaked out. "My mom. She said you hit her," he said, holding his phone. "She said you shoved her when she came by to say goodbye." "What? She came over without you?" "She says you called her names, said she's crazy. She's crying and on her way to the ER to document her injuries." I laughed, loud, not because it was funny, but because I was done. "Jason, I recorded her. On video. The whole visit. Want to see it?" He pressed play. There she was, letting herself in. Walking through the house, mumbling, "Hope she's not home. Maybe I'll grab a few more of her little notes. Jason needs to know who he's married to." Then she pulled pages out of my journal, my private journal. I wrote about feeling trapped, about how exhausted I was from the lies, and she stole them, to use against me? Jason sat there staring at the screen, silent. Then he looked up. "I need to talk to her. Directly, no sugarcoating, just me and her." I offered to come with him, but he insisted. "If she sees you, she'll blow up. I need to set the boundary myself." He came back 2 hours later, eyes bloodshot. He dropped onto the couch like someone had died. She cried, then screamed, then just shut down, said I betrayed her, called me weak, claimed you've brainwashed me. Then she slammed the door and locked herself in her room. And I told her we need space, that she's not allowed in our house without an invite, that if she crosses that line again, we're cutting contact. That was a big deal, a real boundary. But Linda wasn't the kind of woman who just fades away. 2 days later, I got a letter. A real letter. On paper. With little roses on the envelope. It started like this. "If you're reading this, it means my son is still under your spell, but not for long. Time will show who really belongs in this family." I shook. This wasn't just some emotional rant. This was a threat. Jason read the letter, crushed it in his hand. We need help. Not just talking, legal help, mental health support, all of it." I nodded because this wasn't just about drama anymore, it was about safety. And then, a week later, Linda disappeared. Again, only this time, it might be for good, or so we thought. Linda vanished overnight. No calls, no dramatic exit, no note on the door like last time. She just disappeared. At first, we thought it was a setup, that she was still watching us from the shadows. Maybe her car was parked somewhere down the block. Maybe she planted a hidden camera across the street. I even checked the tree outside our window for a bug. After everything she'd pulled, nothing felt impossible anymore. Jason called every nearby hospital, every police station. No sign of her. The house she'd been renting? Empty. The landlord said she paid 6 months in advance and left without saying a word. 1 week passed, then 2. And then we found what she left behind. It started with the mirror in the bathroom. Just your regular old mirror. Nothing weird about it. Until one day, after my shower, I wiped off the steam and noticed this tiny gap in the corner of the frame. Curiosity got the best of me. I slipped a fingernail into the crack, and the whole thing slid open. There was a hidden compartment. Inside, wrapped neatly in a ribbon, was a stack of envelopes. A note on top read, "When he realizes you destroyed his life, let him read this." I took the whole thing to Jason. His face went pale. He sat down silently and started reading through the letters one by one. I didn't interrupt, just watched as his expression shifted. Confusion, disgust, then horror. When he finished, he looked at me and whispered, "She kept a journal. About us. Every single day. About how she was saving me from you, about her plans." He trailed off. She wanted to break us up. The letters were full of the most twisted crap. How she read my private journal. How she recorded our conversations. How she deliberately planted doubts in Jason's head. In one of the letters, she even talked about faking evidence to accuse me of domestic abuse. And the worst part? She almost pulled it off. "You know what's messed up?" Jason said, crushing one of the letters in his fist. Somewhere in her mind, she actually thought she was doing the right thing. He put his hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. I'm sorry I defended her. I was weak. She's been messing with my head my whole life, and I just thought it was love." I hugged him, quietly. No words needed, because the scary part wasn't that she was gone. It was how close she'd come to destroying us. The next morning, we took the letters to the police. To our surprise, the officer didn't brush us off. He read everything. Carefully. "You're not the first," he said. "We had a case with your mother-in-law about a year ago. Neighbor accused her of breaking into her house. Couldn't prove it back then. But this is a pattern." I felt ice run through my veins. She'd done this before. "Do you want to file a restraining order?" he asked. I looked at Jason. He nodded. "Yes, we don't want her near us. Period." The officer filled out the paperwork. Linda was officially banned from coming within 500 feet of us. But she was still missing. And just when we thought things were finally starting to calm down, we got a call from Virginia. It was a social worker. He spoke fast, tense. "Is this Jason? We have your mother here. She showed up at a women's shelter, claimed she was escaping abuse. She gave us your name. We're required to follow up before we can place her." Jason turned white. "She said, we abused her?" "Yes, she claims you and your wife locked her in the house, that she feared for her life." I grabbed the phone. "We have proof of the opposite. Recordings, letters, documents. She's the threat, not us." The social worker sighed. "I'm not allowed to take sides, but she's clearly unstable. We'll restrict her contact for now, but be prepared. She's probably not done. People like her don't stop until they get what they want." After the call, Jason said, "This isn't enough. Not just a restraining order. We need to go public. Tell our story. So if she ever tries to twist things again, people hear the truth." So we did it. We filed charges, started the legal process of declaring her behavior a real threat to our safety. We got a psychiatrist involved, shared our texts, videos, recordings. This was going to court. Jason versus his own mother. And at that point, we knew there was no turning back. This wasn't just about boundaries anymore. This was about survival. It was either save our marriage or let her win. Court isn't exactly where you want to see your mother-in-law, especially not when she's sitting at the far end of the room, wrapped in a baby blue cardigan, wearing that fake little smile like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. Linda's lawyer, a guy in his 50s with the face of a professional liar, oozed sympathy for the jury. First thing out of his mouth, he called Linda a grieving mother, emotionally and physically abused by her only son and his controlling wife. I watched, barely keeping my anger in check. But Jason kept me grounded. He sat tall beside me, back straight, eyes sharp, distant but focused. This time he was on my side. He was ready. "Our Honor," our attorney began, "we will present both video and audio evidence. Sworn testimony will show that not only did our client not commit any acts of violence, but she was in fact the target of repeated emotional aggression by her husband's mother. We have hidden camera footage, written correspondence, psychiatric evaluations, and statements from neighbors who witnessed Mrs. Brown's alarming behavior. The judge, an older black woman with a stare cold enough to freeze hell, gave a slight nod. Let's see it. The footage played. Linda inside our home, opening our closet, sniffing my clothes, talking to herself, muttering how he needs saving. Crystal clear sound, razor-sharp image. The courtroom went dead silent. Linda looked at the screen like she didn't recognize the woman in the video. Then she looked away. Her lawyer tried damage control. My client has been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder related to the trauma of losing her husband. Her actions may not have been fully conscious. The judge raised a hand, cutting him off. She opened a closet. She pulled out letters. She spoke out loud. That's not unconscious behavior. That's premeditated. And then, something nobody expected. Linda stood up, without permission. Your Honor, may I? She started, voice cracking. The judge's gaze hardened. Speak through your attorney, Mrs. Brown. No, I need to speak. This is my family. I have a right. Her lawyer tried to sit her back down, but Linda was already stepping forward. I only ever wanted to save him, my son. He couldn't see the hole he was falling into. She was pulling him away. From me, from his family, from God. The judge banged her gavel. Mrs. Brown, you are out of order. But Linda didn't stop. Her voice grew louder, shriller. I gave birth to him. I nursed him. I stayed by his bed when he had bronchitis. And her? She's nothing. I saw how she looked at him, like she owned him. I won't allow it. Even if they throw me in jail, I won't let her have him. The judge motioned to the bailiffs. 2 officers came over, calm but firm, and escorted Linda out. She kept yelling, I'll be back. He's mine, my son, not hers. The courtroom doors slammed shut. Silence again. The judge exhaled, then looked our way. Well, she said, I believe I've seen enough. A few minutes later, the ruling came down. Given the submitted evidence and the respondent's behavior in this courtroom, the court grants a restraining order prohibiting Linda Brown from approaching Jason and Ashley Brown within 1,000 feet for a period of 5 years. Further, the court recommends a psychiatric evaluation to assess the respondent's mental health. It was a win, but it didn't feel like one, because she was still Jason's mother. On the way home, he didn't say a word for a long time. Then finally, I always thought we had something special, me and her, a bond. After my dad died, she really was there for me, but I didn't realize it wasn't love. It was ownership. I took his hand. You couldn't have known. You were a kid. Then you were an adult she refused to let go of. And I let her. For too long, even when you were crying, even when you were hurting, I didn't protect you the way I should have. You are now, I said. That's what matters. We still had to get through the aftermath. Linda kept trying, messaging through mutual church friends, sending apologies through acquaintances, even flowers. All of it got returned. We held firm. Then, a letter came from her doctor. Just a few lines. Linda Brown has voluntarily checked into a mental health facility. Diagnosis confirmed. Borderline personality disorder, complicated by pathological attachment and delusional ideation. Treatment has begun. It was a win. A bitter one. But real. It's been a year. 12 full months since they walked Linda out of that courtroom in handcuffs, screaming curses and threats all the way. A whole year since we stopped living in constant alert mode, jumping at every unknown number, every creak under the window. We moved. Our new place isn't huge, but it's cozy. The neighborhood's quiet, lined with tall maple trees, and neighbors who actually mean it when they say, "How y'all doing?" We've got a dog now, an old rescue lab named Rusty. He mostly sleeps by the fireplace and grumbles when someone walks past the house. We like that. It's comforting, knowing someone's watching over us, even if it's a grumpy old dog with bad joints. But if you're thinking everything's peaceful and perfect now, think again. Some nights, Jason still wakes up drenched in sweat. He says he sees her, his mom, standing at the door, smiling that same chilling smile she wore in court. Sometimes he freezes in the middle of the grocery store, caught off guard by a woman with a similar haircut. We've been going to family therapy. Together. The therapist said Linda lives in Jason's mind like some twisted version of Janus, the two-faced Roman god. On one side, comfort, safety, the smell of vanilla muffins in the morning. On the other, control, guilt, and the crushing fear of being a bad son. But the hardest part, isn't being angry at her. It's being angry at himself for letting her take up so much space in his life that his own boundaries got worn down to nothing. But step by step, Jason's building them back up. He's learning to say no, even when every part of him wants to cave in. He's learning not to apologize for choosing to be a husband instead of someone's little boy. As for me, yeah, I've changed too. I've gotten tougher. Not hard, just clearer. I trust myself now, my gut, my voice. I don't second-guess my sanity just because someone else tries to gaslight me into doing it. I used to think family was sacred, that a mother was untouchable, unquestionable. Now I know. Family is who chooses you day after day, not who demands you sacrifice yourself to keep up their version of who you're supposed to be. Then, the letter came. Not from Linda, from her doctor. It said she's made progress, real progress. She's come to understand her patterns. She regrets the harm. She's open to family therapy if and only if we ever choose to reconnect. Jason handed me the letter without a word. You want to read it? I asked. He shrugged. I'm tired of feeling things about her. Whatever happens, happens. We put the letter in a drawer, and while it stays there, we keep living. We're making plans. We're talking about having kids. We argue over whose turn it is to do the dishes. We bicker about dumb stuff, then make up under a blanket, watching old comedies. We love each other. We are a family. And behind us, there's a history. A hard one, but one that made us stronger. A history that whispers, you don't owe love to someone whose love destroys you. If you had told me back then that we'd end up in court against his own mother, not over money, not over property, but just for the right to live our own damn life, I'd have said you were crazy. But now I know. Those battles exist. They're brutal. They're terrifying. They take guts and grief and everything you've got. But sometimes, it's those exact battles that set you free. Truly free.